Hello, happy Monday. If like me, you've been featuring or encountering, not featuring, problems with Google this morning. So apologies for being slightly late today. I've been desperately trying to retrieve a presentation, a slide deck that I'd prepared especially for this meeting. So I managed to finally get in. Managed to get all my emails working and back online. So there is a golden line in the Monday. So anyway, welcome to another edition, week 10. I think there's one more week left. So next week is the last one before Christmas. So I've been doing some planning for that. So I'll share that this week in terms of what that is going to be, but it will be a case of looking back at this year with some rose tinted glasses and looking forward to 2021 with some thoughts on trends and ideas for retail and all those sort of things. So just to give us a bit of a look forward to next year. So as always, wave hello, say hello, drop me a note in the comments from where you are, and feel free to ask any questions or anything like that. I've just realized as I've been chatting away, I don't have my fancy banners, and I don't know what's happened. Hang on, I found the button. There we are. So as always, get involved, say hello, ask questions, make any points, references, and I will get them up on the screen and debate retail and where it's going. So really this week, and pretty much what I've got prepared to run through with you, and I think last week I did retail, where can it go from here after all the news in the various retailers struggling and finding cash problems and all those sort of things. Where does it go from here? So I presented that, some thoughts on that, and I think it was good to kind of get a presentation together. So this week I wanted to look at what can retail learn from other industries in its future application, really. So I presented this slides to some students a couple of weeks ago, more focused on technology and technology in applications in retail environments in the future. But really, I think this is a really interesting snapshot of how technology and technology's use in other applications, in other parts of our culture. So from art to hospitality to sports and all those things, and how these worlds, and I think as our physical world is beginning to kind of evolve, is how can all these things begin to sort of collide into one experience. So feel free to stop me as I rabbit on, ask any questions, but I'll share a link to this. In fact, I think I can share a link to this presentation in the comments below. So if anyone wants to see the link while I'm talking, I will ping into the comments now, and hopefully anyone can watch the link as we go. I don't know, that's gone into the YouTube folder, so if you can't get it on LinkedIn, do let me know and I'll ping it into the comments in LinkedIn. So if not, I've just realized that it's not on LinkedIn, so I will put that in there now. So again, hopefully you can access the presentation that I am about to share on my screen, because I do know that sometimes there's a bit of lag with what I'm sharing. So just give me 1 minute. This is getting very technical this week. And share my screen. So hopefully you can see what I'm sharing. All right. But again, feel free to join in from elsewhere on the video and let me know if there's any problems. But sorry, I'm being a bit slow today because I'm trying to get so many windows open at once. Not my usual super high-tech setup, and that was because I've only just managed to get into Google. So really, what I wanted to show is what retail can learn from other applications, and I've shared a lot of these on my LinkedIn page recently. But really, it was about how, and I don't know if this is going to let me play, but really, how can applications learn? So I've shared the Vogue magazine cover from Portugal a couple of weeks ago, but this is the GQ version that is talking about how AR and digital can bring, I suppose, life to the ordinary. So where I begin to sort of look at how can retail environments begin to enhance really simple applications like POS, like posters, like animating the windows, so and incorporating things like AR and AR technology to bring sort of 2D environments into kind of a 3D world. And there's such simple applications that that it's all about bringing those real simple uses of technology. And I talk every week about how technology doesn't need to be so crazy in its applications, but it's about using simple technology in really creative ways to bring a physical space to life digitally. And it's about bringing for a lot of these, it's about doing something that is unique to a space. So how can a blank wall come alive, and how can you, if you're intrinsically linked to the brand, how can you engage with that brand in a secret way? And I love this image on the bottom right hand side of that wall and the blue door, about how can you, if you are wanting to find a secret message, is it a secret discount, is it a secret shop, is it a map to somewhere that is pointing you in a direction for an event? You know, there's so much that can be done now with retail through a lot of these applications. And it's just, as I say every week, thinking outside the box, in thinking in a new way of bringing physical spaces to life, but with clever applications. And again, there's a few examples here. I won't play all the videos, but about bringing 2D spaces to life through AR technology, and how can static print come to life in an engaging and exciting way. So again, it's that learning about something in a different way, interacting with something, engaging with a brand, and playing on that. So again, how can you bring art to life, even down to things for retail, for window banners, window displays, so that you're bringing art to life in a new way. So you're bringing movement into something that's actually quite static. And then it's about bringing art, what I'd call art to life. And I think there's so much in these AR activations. There's one at the moment on the South Bank where art comes to life. So again, how can art become part of the retail journey in terms of the retail theatre that's there? Let me just make this bigger. So in terms of art and art exhibitions, so is there something that your consumer can engage with secretly? Can they find something that, again, is totally unique to them? Personalizing the experience so that it's all part of bringing someone to life in that physical space. And these are all things, again, I was sort of talking about how can we learn from a retail point of view from other parts of the industry. So bringing art into our spaces, bringing technology into the spaces, bringing all of those kind of things, street art. Like, how can we take all of these really cool activations that are happening, but bring them into a retail environment. And it's whether it's from hoardings, window vinyls, decals, through to full-on activations within the space. But it's about learning from these big things that are happening globally. And this is a Leon Kerr augmented reality mural, which again I shared on my LinkedIn page a few weeks ago. But again, it's for everybody who's not using their technology, it's a fantastic piece of art. But as soon as you hold your phone over it, it becomes a moving image. And I think there's so much retail can learn from being quite a static environment where it can start to come alive physically. So, but to play up, again, as we talk about every week, how can you play up the benefits of a store over a digital environment, is that you've got physical product, you've got a physical space, you've got well in tuned customer advisors that work in there, and it's about layering on that additional piece of creativity through applications such as technology. Obviously everyone's seen the Wave by District. How incredible is that anthropomorphic space? Not saying every retailer should blow out a huge installation like that, but the learnings behind it is to create something that is such a showstopper. So again, thinking about space, so whether it's a window installation, but thinking about windows in a completely different way. So is there for retail 2021? What can retail learn from something like this is that it's about creating a wow moment, something that people stop and stare. Like, this has had incredible social reaction on social media. Incredible numbers of views on YouTube, Instagram. I've seen it shared so many times. And there's another one now happening in China in a similar look and feel. But to create something that's so iconic, so eye-capturing, so creative, that it turns a traditional space or a billboard into something that is beautiful and talked about, and people want to go and see it, and people want to be photographed in front of it, and figure out how it works, and all of those kind of things. So it's about thinking about space, and whether it's a small blank space within your store or a full-on hoarding or window display, in a completely different way. And I think it's taking those learnings from things like this that the future of retail is in creating. In creating these moments where people want to be part of that application, and it's about bringing to life. And I'm obsessed with kind of art, really, and I think retail theatre and retail VM and all those is an art form. I got into it through art, through fashion, and all those sort of things, and ultimately it's about creating art in a new environment. And if you look at some of the applications, but now through technology, we can all have masterpieces in our pockets. And this is a really interesting video that it showcases, and it's quite a long video, so I'll talk over it. But it shows that really, if you talk about augmented reality, that we can create masterpieces wherever we are. So why not bring to life art in your retail environment? Why not bring something to life? And I love that, like, create the extraordinary in a space that is unexpected for your consumer, or you bring something to life in the physical environment that's intrinsic to the brand. And again, something, if your customer is is a fan of your brand, they would interact in a new way. So yeah, who doesn't want a Jeff Koons balloon dog in their house, So, but how do you do that in a retail world? And it's taking those ideas behind the retail, behind the digital concepts, and kind of bringing them to life in a retail way. So I don't know, if you're a footwear brand, you can bring shoes to life. I don't know the reference for it, but I saw last week a brand has sold a $13,000 digital AR shoe, and I don't know if anyone knows the reference and then can put it into the comments, but it's a trainer that has got a digital AR artwork to it, and that someone's bought it for $13,000, I think. And I'm probably talking complete nonsense about it, but what it kind of highlights is that there's a layer on for physical product to have in a digital with a digital enhancement. And again, as I say every week, you can't get those merged environments just at home. So it's about playing up those intrinsic connections with your consumer through a enhanced experience in the store. So and I'll whiz through, there's a lot of comments that are coming through, so I will come back to those afterwards. But again, John Emily did a AR experience in Selfridges, which was a atrium experience. Again, learnings from kind of some other retail applications is that it was Europe's largest AR application, and it was about bringing to life the space in a piece of artwork, really, in Selfridges to encourage a mixed use of a space. So again, it was how does if you're a fan of either technology, art, fashion, it's about creating a space for that whole community to engage in a new way. And if we think about retail from 2-3 years ago, retail was about selling. Retail was about selling product, and now it's about selling an experience. And I think it's a buzzword at the minute. Obviously, everyone talks about experience, but it's about enhancing the physical experience with consumer touch points to sell or engage with product. And then there's some other examples from fashion shows from people like Balenciaga about how it begins to bring the physical and digital worlds to life through engaged technology, whether it's through moving technology, whether it's about creating new environments, about creating new worlds. We all want to leave behind our sort of our lives, I suppose. We want an escape, and I think it's about, we can do everything at home on our computer that's very practical, and that's where I talk about Amazon a lot. Amazon is a very practical retail function, and no disregard to Amazon, but I've said it everything week on week, no one loves Amazon like they love a brand experience, because it doesn't allow you to escape, it doesn't allow you to explore, it doesn't allow you to use your imagination, it doesn't touch on your senses. So I think there's so much to learn. And if you think about a fashion show, it's about escapism, it's about an environment, it's about being, it's intense, it can be anything you want. It can be beautiful, it can be loud. If you recreate that in online, and I don't know if anyone's watched an online fashion show, it's not the same. You get like the closeness of it, all of those things. And I think there's other things there for retailers to learn. It's about playing with all of those parts and creating an environment where it does something to you. And there's more examples here. You just have to look at these sort of crazy use of color and branding and technology and not technology, typography in a space that it's sort of creating an environment that's totally unique. And there's a few other examples here about how, now I have to bring this one bigger. And I think everyone wants a galactic projected, even my daughter wants a galactic projected ceiling at the moment. So it's obviously in vogue at the moment, but it's how do you take a space and give it a new lease of life? So this is just a simple white ceiling, white box, simple space, but it's given a whole new lease of life through interesting ways of color and texture and application. And again, there's more examples here. So how do you lose yourself in these environments that it's really stimulating, and that you can be wherever you want to be. And it goes back, we all want a connection back to nature and those things, but how can we recreate an environment that enhances the brand delivery? And I won't go on too much about all this. There's plenty of examples here, but again, incredible, absolutely incredible, some of these applications. And it's fashion shows for me are such a big part of inspiration. I like Louis Vuitton's ones with the containers. Like, I'm obsessed with containers. Anything where a brand, and I think I've always loved fashion, less so fashion design, more so, there's a story behind that for how I got into VM, but I love fashion and fashion delivery because it's kind of taking the concept of a collection or a moment and bringing it to life in a very quick but compelling state of kind of a period of time. So, and I think that's what retail kind of needs to pick up on, is those really powerful messages that just grab you and visually grab you. And I think we can look back at some beautiful things that Hermes have done. And it's about how can you start to layer in technology and physical and 2D and 3D, so that the kind of the worlds collide and that you're beginning to play with all of these things together. So it's really simple, but it's beautiful and it's elegant. And it's those things, again, that you can't do. Anyone can have a digital screen. Anyone can have, we've all got screens at home, but we don't have screens that blow beautiful Hermes scarves. Like it's thinking, and I use it every week, it's thinking outside that traditional retail model, that how can you create something that's engaging, it's innovative, it's compelling, but it's on message for your brand. And that's kind of how I think retail 2021 needs to go in a way, is it's reassessing every consumer touch point with something that is, it goes back to, I think it's about curating content that engages the consumer. And there's some other examples of technology and what Printemps have done, where, again, not everything has to be super slick and super sexy and super high tech. This is Printemps Burberry, I think, from a couple of years ago, but I love it because it's the art of what I would call traditional visual merchandising and traditional display, but with a twist. And it's about thinking, how can retail keep some of its intrinsic beautiful qualities? And I think specifically in visual merchandising and displays, some brands have got some really strong heritage, but it's about how can things like technology or other applications help you bring those to life. So yeah, this had AR experiences, so you can connect and control some of the characters in there, and bring to the story to life and change some of the colors and all those sort of things. So and there's lots of things. So again, how does look at that beauty, like how incredible is that car with the graphic illuminated application on it. There's projection mapping. So again, how can we learn from things like projection mapping? And I can't seem to And then from digital applications, magic mirrors, Charlotte Tilbury have done some incredible magic mirrors where you become part of the display. But some really interesting things, and the drinks market is really taken the merging of technology to another level. And I think this is a really interesting concept that you can start to use, and where I talked about the physical product being able to be brought to life. And I think it goes back to that storytelling piece. It goes back to integration with the sales teams in the stores, about how you can layer in something to a product, to storytell behind it, to tell the consumer the key benefits of it. Like, it's about bringing that to life. And I think these are great because these are at home activations, but there's so much more that can be done in a retail environment. And then some of these are being done. Adidas London are doing some incredible things where it's about gamification, and there's a lot to learn from gaming. You just have to look at how incredible the gaming market is, and you can see why Frasers and Sports Direct and that business is moving into tapping into that audience. But I think I've got an example further on, but you just have to look at it. Goes from Sports Direct to Burberry in terms of how they're gamifying their experiences. And we talked about the Selfridges activation last week, but there's adding in a layer of gamification and interaction and fun and all of those kind of things. But obviously, what we need to learn from that, and what retail needs to learn, is to tap into it in the right way for the right consumer. And then the art of play. How much can you do with play in a retail environment? How can you engage the consumer? How can you get them to engage in the environment? And obviously, post social distancing, but how can you encourage them to become part of that store environment in a new way? And then this is a really interesting, I love this because it's from a French restaurant, and it's a really long video, so I won't play it all, but Le Petit Chef is a interactive experience, and I'll fast forward it, where the whole experience is enhanced by AR or projected technology to create it's again entertainment. So it's layering on a whole piece of new experience to your dining. So again, why cannot retail offer a similar solution? So there's a reason to visit this restaurant. There's a reason to go. I don't know how good the food is. I haven't read the reviews on the food, but I'd want to go to experience that engaging piece. And what a story to talk about with your friends, with the people dining with you. It's all part of that whole experience. And I think if retail can just learn from a little bit from that, where you've got something to, I imagine, to video or photograph, share with your friends, talk about after you've been. I don't know how many people, and again, I don't want to be disrespectful to places like Debenhams, but I'd never talk to anyone about my experience at Debenhams or any of that. So I think there's some learnings there. There's some really interesting pieces here about how we can learn from not only car companies, but thinking through demographic and thinking through how we can touch not only our consumer, but also how we can touch other parts of that consumer. So, for example, Volvo here did a color and play, which was to integrate a campaign with children who were visiting the showroom with their parents. So, as well as entertaining the parents or making the process an easy process to purchase a car or try out the new car, it also entertained and educated the child while they were waiting with a Colour Me activation that brought together. And again, I'll fast forward it because you can see it in the presentation. But the whole experience was brought to life, not just for the adult. And I think sometimes retail forgets about its entire audience. So it focuses solely on the one person that is kind of the customer, but it's a bit of thinking about the whole customer journey. Who else is visiting? Even down to it's so random, but there's so many. I don't know how many stores don't have seats by the fitting rooms. Things like that. It's really simple learnings that it doesn't have to be like high technology. But I like the Lego store is incredible because it's got touchy-feely bits for different ages of child. It brings the whole family together because you all want to be building in there. It's the same with the Apple store. You can be in there having a one-to-one with one of the Apple geniuses, and there's things to engage the children. It's thinking about all the things that will make your consumer's life better or easier, or because that's obviously why people shop online. Is it's an easier process. So there's no point making a physical experience more challenging. It should be focused on delivering something that is going to educate, engage, assist, all of those things, and then do something completely like bonkers. And I think that's Topshop learned something. Obviously, there was some fantastic bits here for Topshop when they did a virtual reality slide, but it's about learning from other applications. That how can you bring an environment to life in a different way, and how can you incorporate? And I loved what they did. Is it was virtual reality, but it was also incorporated in a traditional display. So they still brought that slide to life. You still sat in the slide in the window. It was still fun, but you put on a virtual reality headset and you slid all around London on a giant slide. Who doesn't want to do that? It's and then I've talked about Portal. Again, how can we learn from things like this? And I love the fact that they bring out. I went to see an Elvis concert where Elvis came back to life, and it was like the greatest night. And I know they've brought back. I can't remember her name. The one from The Bodyguard. Someone might tell me. But how cool is this that you could bring? And again, thinking about how can you. Doesn't matter bringing someone to life, but how can you bring, if you're a business, a football brand is a terrible word. A football club, that's the word. And you are launching a new kit, and you've got your team, and you want to bring that team to every window, in every application, every time, and you can do it in real time. So there's Beyonce launching a new perfume, all of those kind of things. There's some incredible learnings. And again, it's an expensive technology at the moment, but it's about using those kind of ideas that how can you bring a Whitney Houston, that's the one. There's going to be like 1 million people now have written Whitney Houston. I want to say Tina Turner shows, Ian Morgan shows your music chart, your music tastes, and Tupac. They obviously brought Tupac to life, and probably loads of other people. But it's thinking about those things, about how you can bring not people but product to life to capture someone's imagination. And whether you're Disney and you've got Elsa in the window and Anna, like my youngest would be obsessed. So. And I've just seen Paolo. That's bang on, that NFL AR, and everybody I've spoken to absolutely loves that NFL AR, where you take a picture, and I think I need to put that example into this deck. but you stand in front of a screen, and then the guy's coming for a huddle, and it's brilliant because it captures everything I'm talking about. That it brings the family together. It's a memory you take away. Brilliant. And I think retail can learn from that. And some of the things, and there's, how people like Louis Vuitton are bringing their sort of 3D displays to life through digital, so that you can start to place things in your house. But again, it's how can you start to put things into, is there things you can put in your store so that you're uncovering special pieces of art, special gifts? Is it like I can never think of the words, a treasure hunt, so that you'll go around the store and you're uncovering something, and if you find enough, you get a discount, or you get something physical to take away with you. So that goes back to that gamification, gamifying the experience. How can shopping centres, for example, encourage people to go and visit? Can they put something in that makes you go on a whole journey around that centre, so that you're finding things as you go, and uncovering and discovering? So things like that, discovery, and all of that. And then, I've used Nike before. Obviously, I had Adrian on a few weeks ago, but the Nike pop-up. And it's, again, thinking how you can bring things to life in a new way. So, and I think the reason I put this example in here is that it's about creating something that changes over time. So again, the application doesn't have to be a huge Nike shoebox in the car park, but how can you start to put in textures and spaces that change over time? So, and there's a lot of sort of talk about multi-use spaces, that you're a yoga studio in the morning, a coffee shop or a bookstore in the afternoon, and a gaming environment in the evening. But how do you change the environment to kind of bring that story to life, or those areas to life at a different time? So, and then I talked about Burberry. I think Burberry's store in China was probably the epitome of everything I've talked about. It was about engaging the consumer. It was about with product information, gamifying the space, bringing technology to life with digital applications in a virtual way, with different spaces. And I think it's an incredible use of technology in the space. But how can you bring a traditional store to life in a whole new way? And there's loads of examples here. And again, if you want to spend some time going through the deck. But what I kind of wanted to highlight was that if you look at everything we've talked about, and it's from art, fashion, retail, events and exhibitions, and hospitality and leisure and all those kind of things, actually there's one thing that underpins everything. It's about a connected experience. So what retail probably needs to learn from me for 2021 and onwards is about connecting that experience. And whether it's connecting that experience through a consumer, through a product, through a story, through a moment, it's about connecting that and really driving through the message that you're trying to do. And before you go to connect that, and I go back to that slide, but before you do that, it's about understanding. And I say to all the guys when we talk about it, but it's about understanding what's that KPI, what is it you're trying to deliver for your consumer. So what is the questions you're trying to answer? And once you know those questions, how can you connect these pieces to create an experience that will make people engage and come back and talk about you and all of those things? And I suppose what I wanted to highlight in this very random deck of mine is that they don't all have to be super high tech. It's just thinking slightly differently. And then I love this one. I've put this out there, but Shane F 3D, you know, it can be so random as you just put some, and this was an AR, this was not real, but I love the concept of just doing something completely mad. And this captured, I got like on my LinkedIn, it went a bit crazy, but how cool would it be for brands to pick up things like this and just place them around? And they're either digital or they're augmented reality or they're physical or whatever it is, but thinking that not everything has to be done in the confines of a white box. And as we're being outside more, as we're connected with nature more, as we're visiting our local stores more, it's about picking these things up and taking them to places of discovery and to tap into that local community and new kind of engagement. And then, yeah, what I kind of with these is, again, it's about using space in new ways, really thinking how can you be, and this kind of goes back to, it doesn't have to be super high tech. Like, I love this, like how beautiful is it to use a space in this way. And that's was 36 blowy fans, if that's the technical term for it, and a load of packing chips, polystyrene packing chips that was just used and blown around in an environment. And to create something so beautiful, so simply, I think is kind of where the future of retail lies. It's about simple applications that get you talking. So that's kind of my sermon this week. Over. I would now. So again, the link, if anyone wants me to run through the deck, talk about the deck or any other stuff like that, then as always, ping me a message on LinkedIn. I'm just going to quickly whiz through. If anyone has any questions, please ping them to the comments now. I realised I've been on chatting away again for a long time, so I'm just reading, and yeah, Paolo, another one. Yeah. So how can you bring the Pokemon gamification idea to retail? And yeah, why could you not walk around an entire shopping centre collecting up coins that gave you a free coffee at the coffee station, for example, or a discount in a store, or something rewarding? I think that's what I probably want to get to, is that it's about creating a rewarding experience. There's nothing rewarding about walking around a store and seeing so many like sale banners, a discount. We can all get discount codes off our phones. You know, I don't know who doesn't Google a discount code before you buy something online. So, but it's not, it doesn't make you excited about doing it. It's just something you do. So how can you bring that into the customer journey? I'm just reading here. There's a point here. Yeah, Lee. Thanks, Lee. I have seen the David Dunn at 442. I've not been. I'd love to go. So, but that store, and I think the Adidas store is good. And I'll just put this up here. But the immersive tech and in-store experience, and I think football retail is really leading the way in engaging in immersive experiences. There's a store in Carnaby Street, London, and I can't remember at this moment what it's called. Probably goes along with my Whitney Houston moment. So if anyone knows the name of the store in Soho, Carnaby Street, but it's a soccer boot store, and it's incredible. And the way it brings a product to life is yeah, is definitely what I'm sort of talking about. And if you're into boots and football, and it's definitely a space to go and see. And I think that's the piece. It's sort of, we talk about technology, and I think it's not only about technology, but it's about doing something that is bringing that experience to life in a different way. So we can all learn, and I think I preach on every week, but we can all learn about products before we go out. Pro Direct Soccer, there we are. That's what it's called. That's the one. And that's 2 for you now, Lee. You got Whitney Houston and Pro Direct Soccer. So Ian Morgan, you need to. You're losing. But it's about doing something for the right purpose. So, and I've talked about it before, there's no point doing something if your consumer is not going to engage with it. And I think it's about tapping in the right way. So whether it's doing a Colour Me experience like Volvo did, it's about doing something physical like Lego do, whether it's about doing something really fun, high tech like Adidas, Nike, and all those guys do, to gamify an experience. It's about making sure that the delivery of the content is in tune with the consumer, and that's probably what I was trying to get across in this piece for this week. So another week, another load of Tim Nash Rambles. So I think I might just change the name of this to Tim Nash Rambles. But next week, it will be my last week before Christmas, and then we'll have a Christmas break. And then you can all let me know if you have missed me on a Monday or this on a Monday, and whether we come back in the new year. Might all be so busy with back to real life and non-virtual communication that I don't know. But I think yeah. So there's next week, and we'll see off 2020 and to 2021. Get everyone for coming on and listening to me rabbit on and explore my creative thinking. Really good to hear your comments. So if you want to send me any messages, any thoughts after this, please do. And I do put these videos on YouTube now. So as my kids say, I need to tell you to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I'll put the link. I think the link's already in there somewhere. I will put a link to the YouTube channel, because if you want to watch stuff afterwards, it's and yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Yeah, so catch you later, guys. Cheers.